Hi, everyone, and thank you for joining us at today's webinar, Understanding New Labor Realities. This is a joint webinar presented by the Truly Alive Youth and Family Foundation and Achēv Career Loans. Before we begin, I do want to invite Needy to turn on the camera. We have a bit of housekeeping to do. Hi, Needy.
Hi, very good afternoon. How are you all doing today?
I'm good, and thank you very much. It's exciting when our two organizations can collaborate for a webinar like this.
Absolutely.
So let's move on. We have a few land acknowledgements we want to make before we get started on behalf of our respective organizations. Needy, if you will.
Thank you so much, Kevin. Truly Alive Youth and Family Foundation Inc. acknowledges that we operate on Treaty 6 territory and the homeland of the Métis. We pay our respect to the First Nations and Métis ancestors of this place and reaffirm our relationship with one another. Thank you.
Thank you, Needy. We'll hear from Needy more later, but before that, I will go on with a bit more housekeeping. So Needy, you can turn off your camera at this moment, and we'll see you soon.
Thank you.
As for Achēv, Achēv acknowledges that the land on which we live, work, and gather, even virtually, is part of the treaty lands and territory of the Mississauga of the Credit. The land on which the region of Peel and the regional municipality of Halton operates is rich in history and modern traditions of many First Nations and Métis people. We're grateful to have the opportunity to work on this land, and by doing so, we give our respect to its first inhabitants. We're dedicated to honoring Indigenous history and culture and committed to moving forward in the spirit of reconciliation and respect with all First Nations, Métis, and Inuit people. Now, we got some people still coming in, but like I said, anytime during today's webinar, if you want to get involved, say hi to the group, use the chat feature. If you have any questions, do use the separate Q&A feature. We will have a Q&A session at the end of today's webinar. So save up your questions, type them in anytime during today's presentation, and we will get to them later. Moving on, we do have a short survey. Now, you don't need to copy down this URL. I will be sending this out in the email afterwards, but it takes 1 minute, and your feedback is very, very crucial for how we plan our future webinars. Now, who's here today? On the career loan side, myself, my name is Gavin. I'm the content developer. My colleague Cheryl is also here, and you will hear from her later. From the Truly Alive Youth and Family Foundation Inc. side, we just saw Needy, and Adrian will be joining her as well. We will see them later. As for our guest speaker today, we have Hanif Hemani, Managing Director at Express Employment Professionals. He has a great presentation coming up today, so you're not going to want to miss this. As for today's schedule, I'll first be introducing Hanif. We will hear from Hanif, number 2, Understanding New Labor Realities, for the main part of the presentation. Needy will be providing a information session about TAFE. Cheryl will then be talking about how the Career Loans Program can also help newcomers in Saskatchewan and Alberta. And number 5, like I said, we have a Q&A session where we will answer all your questions. So do type them into the Q&A box, and we will wrap up number 6 with the conclusion. So before we continue, I do want to introduce today's guest speaker. Hanif, if you don't mind turning on your camera now. Hi, Hanif. How's it going?
I'm well. How are you, Gavin?
I'm good. Thank you for joining us today. And for our audience, let me briefly introduce Hanif. So Hanif Hemani is the president of Hemani Management Group Incorporated, a management consulting firm specializing in performance management, human capital planning, sales management, and engagement. He's also the managing director of Express Employment Professionals, a professional staffing and recruitment firm. Hanif has over 25 years of sales, marketing, and management experience in diverse industries ranging from big pharma to staffing and recruitment. When he's not networking or involved in assisting the community and charitable organizations, you can likely find him at a golf course or out and about discussing politics, business, sports, and usually over a nice Cabernet. Thank you for joining us today.
My pleasure. Thank you, Gavin.
So you've got a wonderful presentation for us today. Whenever you're ready, feel free to share your presentation, and you can take it away.
Certainly. Thank you, Gavin, and thank you, everyone. Certainly welcome to you all. I'll just share my screen here, so just give me one moment. Can you see that all right?
Yes, looks good on my end.
Excellent.
Thank you. Take it away, Hanif.
Thank you, Gavin. As Gavin mentioned, I'll do a short presentation, about half an hour, on sort of the new labor realities, and I'll focus a little bit on sort of the pandemic phenomenon in terms of labor, and I'll end on some opportunities that all of you can capitalize on to improve your ability to find some meaningful employment and that sort of thing. Why am I here? And I think Gavin spoke to it a little bit. I have a very unique perspective. Not only do I do consulting work from a management standpoint, I'm also a small business owner. And I also happen to own a recruitment agency, and my recruitment agency not only manages sort of administrative roles, we also manage light industrial and commercial roles, and we also manage and place professional roles like accountants, engineers, HR, those types of things. And so because of that, I have a very unique lens. I have sort of three separate lenses into the workforce. One as a management, one as a business owner, and then one as a recruiter. And so I cover a really wide swath of various industries and many diverse clients. So I think it gives me a very unique perspective, and that's one of the reasons why I'm here. As I mentioned, I really kind of go over four points today. What is the current labor situation in Saskatchewan and Alberta? What has COVID done? The phenomenon that we are experiencing because of COVID is not just limited to our two provinces. It's across Canada, it's across North America, and it's quite frankly across many of the developing countries in the world. So, or many of the industrialized countries in the world. So it certainly, there's something unique happening. I'll speak a little bit to some of the current and emerging employment opportunities. And lastly, and probably most importantly, is what can you folks do? What advice do I have for you to improve your employment traction? To give you a better chance of getting a professional role and utilizing your talents in the Canadian workforce. So that's just a high level of kind of what we will cover today. And again, like I said, about 20 to 30 minutes, depending on how things progress. Okay. So the current labor force. By way of chat, does anybody know, just off the top of their heads, what the employment rate in Saskatchewan is? Can you maybe put it in the chat feature? You can take a guess. Do we have any guesses in there? I'm just taking a look here. No, nobody wants to take a guess. Well, I'll tell you, it's 7%. So, it's certainly not the highest it's been, and it's certainly not the lowest it's been, but it's still a relatively high unemployment rate. For those of you in Alberta, the unemployment rate in Alberta is, does anyone take a guess at that? You think it's higher or lower? I got a 8 from Anita. Higher, yeah. So it is, it's a little bit higher, not as much as you might think. It is 7.9% in Alberta. So certainly a little bit higher, but not completely out of the realm. There are some other provinces like Newfoundland that are closer to 10%, just to put it in perspective. So Alberta is still very similar to Saskatchewan marketplace in terms of unemployment rate. And what about Canada? Does anyone want to take a guess at what Canada's at? Anybody in the chat? Okay, I won't, oh, there's one there. Let me take a look. 12%, actually 9%. So Saskatchewan, or Canada is actually very, very comparable to Saskatchewan. So, you know, Canada has come down again quite a bit over the last little while. This is the most recent data that we have. This is October 2021 data, or sorry, August 2021 data, and it's StatsCan data. So surprisingly, Canada is very, very similar to Saskatchewan in terms of unemployment rate. So unemployment rate is only one metric or one piece of data that we can look at. What else can we look at? Well, let's look at the number of job vacancies. So I direct you to the left-hand panel. And this data is StatsCan data again. What this shows, and I don't know if you can see my cursor, but what this is showing is that as of sort of the end of Q1, we had the most number of job vacancies that we've ever had in the last number of years, 500,000 job vacancies. So there's a lot of jobs out there. Here's the perplexing thing. If you look at the left side panel, now this is the ratio of unemployed people per job vacancy. We actually, from pre-pandemic to post-pandemic, we have actually more people looking, more people unemployed, not looking for work. There's a distinction between job seekers and unemployed. We have more people unemployed per job vacancy. So there's a lot of jobs out there, and there's a lot of people that are unemployed. So you'd think that it would be a very competitive job market, because you have a lot of these people unemployed. In fact, more people that are unemployed per job vacancy than we've ever had before. And so you would think that this would be an employer's market, and it would be easy for an employer to find somebody to fill their job vacancy because there's a lot more people out there. And the fact of the matter is, it's exactly the opposite. And there's some reasons for it that we'll get into in a little bit. But this is the reality of the situation that we're dealing with. So let's talk about kind of what the outcome or what the forecast looks like now in relation to COVID, and maybe we can explain a little bit as to why is this not actually an employer's market, but actually an employees market, and you folks have the advantage in this case. So this is some data that we have, internal data from Express, that we've done some polling on. Not uncommon. Everybody, all employers are looking at hiring. We've already sort of said that a little bit, that there are more jobs out there. Obviously, the bigger the organization, the more likely that they're going to be hiring. So certainly the hiring is expected to continue throughout the second half of 2021 and into 2022. And again, you can see by the size of the company, the likelihood of them hiring. So definitely there's jobs out there. It's a good thing. And let me show you another interesting slide that sort of explains this phenomenon that's happening. This is data that is from Indeed. So for those of you, I'm sure you all know who Indeed is. Indeed's a big job posting site. It's the biggest job posting site. And Indeed provides me with some analytics. And so I'm going to walk you through kind of what each of these lines means, because it's a very unique sort of situation that we're in, that you're in, as it relates to employment. Now, the first thing I want to tell you is that this is an index. And so the index of 1 is the time frame of the week of January 26th, 2020 to February 1st, 2020. The week essentially or the weeks or several weeks just prior to the pandemic being sort of declared in Canada. The top line is the number of jobs that have been posted on Indeed. So if you do the math on the top green line here, I don't know if you can see my cursor, top green line, it's about 1.5, 1.6. What that means is that compared to just pre-pandemic, there's 60% more jobs posted on Indeed than there was prior to pandemic. 60%, 1.6. One is the index, so 1.6 is 60% higher. That's the green line. So there's a lot of jobs out there. The next line, kind of this purple line, is the number of employers that have posted. Now, as you can see there, it's about 1.4, 1.45, 1.5 almost. Again, 40 to 50% more employers have posted jobs than pre-pandemic levels. So not only do we have more jobs, we have more employers out there. Now, the reason those two numbers aren't exactly the same is that some employers are posting for more than one job. So the employer number is a little bit lower than the number of jobs. So a lot of employers are posting, and a lot of employers are posting a lot of jobs. So that's the job availability side of it. But what about the job seeker side of it? Now, I told you that there are more folks unemployed than have ever been before. In fact, the ratio of unemployed to jobs available went up, which means there's way more people available for those jobs. But what are they doing? Well, what they're doing is a function of job seekers. So this is the red line. And as you can see, the job seekers, those that are actively seeking jobs, is actually at 0.9, 10% less than pre-pandemic levels. More jobs, less job seekers. And so if you do the math and you look at the ratio, well, the ratio of job seekers per job is down to 0.6. So it's 40% less. Obviously makes sense. Less job seekers, more jobs. You're going to have job seekers per job has gone down dramatically versus pre-pandemic levels, almost 40% less than what it was. So what has happened in the marketplace, and this is Saskatchewan data, Alberta data is very much the same. What's happened in the marketplace is where, and no one saw this coming, but it's actually a job seekers market. And there is a war on talent. And employers are having a very difficult time filling all kinds of roles, not just entry-level roles, but professional roles as well. And as a professional recruiter that owns a recruitment agency, my staff and I are having a heck of a time finding good qualified people to fill roles right across the spectrum. And it's primarily related to this slide that you're seeing in terms of those folks that are actively seeking jobs. Now, there's some reasons why people aren't actively seeking jobs, and we'll get into that in a little bit here. So I wanted to share with you a quote. This is from Steve Knox, the Vice President of Global Talent Acquisition in Ceridian. Ceridian is a big, massive company that does a lot of work on payroll and in HR, that sort of thing. I told you this is not a Canadian phenomenon. This is a global phenomenon. And this is what he has to say. As the competition for talent heats up, employers will need to come to terms with the fact that the power dynamic has shifted in favor of the employee. And the idea of the employer exclusivity is quickly becoming a relic of the past. What he's saying is that you folks, the job seekers, have the power in this dynamic right now. And we're seeing that right across the board. So why is this happening? Why are folks that are currently unemployed choosing not to become a job seeker? That is ultimately setting up this power dynamic. Well, I think there's several reasons for it. I'm going to go through each one of these sort of one by one. I think first and foremost, there are still lingering fears of COVID. Now, particularly those roles that are very people-facing, let's say. If you have a small child, if you have an elderly parent, if you're immunocompromised in any way, shape, or form, you don't want to, maybe you're under-vaxxed, or maybe you're not vaxxed at all. Maybe you don't want to get into the job market yet until things settle down. So there is a lingering fear of COVID that has delayed the entry of some people into the workforce. Another possible reason is that there are government support programs, enhanced unemployment benefit programs that have allowed job seekers to delay their entry back into work also, and to hold out for more attractive jobs or better paying jobs. And so that phenomenon is again seen across Canada, but also in the US and in other industrialized countries. Why else would people want to sort of delay their entry or not seek out jobs? Well, maybe we have folks that are caring for children or caring for the elderly that currently don't have access to facilities to help them with their children. If you think about it, folks that have children, facilities that take care of children have a ratio of children to child care workers. And if those child care workers aren't entering the workforce or choosing not to come into their old roles and are holding back, well, then that just has an effect with those folks there's less kids that can go to these facilities. So this may have an impact on individuals that are that have chosen not to enter the workforce for whatever reason. It also has may influence those folks that are currently working but are choosing not to move to another role because perhaps they're working from home, they're working remotely already, and this is an opportunity for them to to take care of their kids and that sort of thing. So this is another particular another reason that may explain some of the trends that we're seeing. Those that have lost jobs in one field may not necessarily have the skills required to fill a job that is available. So we're seeing that, and so they aren't really actively seeking jobs because those jobs aren't necessarily available. Another explanation is that they're going to school, and because they don't have the skills required, they're reskilling and they're retooling right now so that they do have the skills that will find them meaningful employment. So it might be a short delay before they enter the workforce again while they're retooling. There are a number of individuals that have lost their jobs in the pandemic that have chosen not to return to those industries. The most profound industry that's been probably affected the most is the hospitality industry at all levels, entry level right through to professional roles in the hospitality industry. But we're seeing that across the board again, that some workers have found other industries to go to, and they're choosing not to go back to their original industry. And then the final sort of reason that there's sort of less people available to fill roles, many folks that are close to retirement or maybe could retire right now that have decided to work a couple more years, they've reprioritized what's important to them, and COVID has sort of changed their perception on things. And life is too short, and perhaps spending more time or being able to spend more time with family instead of returning to work is now important. And so we're seeing that more folks are either close to retirement, are retiring, or retiring earlier in order to spend that time with family. Typically, we knew that this was going to happen. We knew that the millennials, or we knew that the baby boomers are retiring. That's not an issue. We knew that was going to happen. We knew that was happening at an accelerated rate, and we also knew that the the generation sort of coming into those roles, it takes somewhere between 1.2 to 1.3 of the new generation to replace the retiring generation because of competing priorities like work-life balance and these sorts of things. It took more than one to replace one. We also felt that it would be automation that would fill the gap between, the 1 and the 1.3. Now, it hasn't quite happened yet. And now with COVID, that there's an escalation of that retirement, and the folks that would normally have filled those roles, which would have been people stepping into those roles, are less likely to do so because of some of the other reasons I mentioned, and because perhaps they don't want to leave their current role because they're not sure about what's going to happen post-pandemic. Maybe they have a work from home opportunity, and they don't want to jeopardize that because some of these other roles don't have it. So this is a phenomenon that we're seeing. I don't have any hard data on it. It's a little bit more anecdotal. There's more data coming out, but it's certainly something that's been recognized that is happening and is creating this imbalance between opportunities available and a workforce that's looking for those opportunities. So how are we doing for time here? Okay. So, what are some of the sectors in demand? What are some of the sectors that I see opportunities in right now? And I'll go through each of these. IT continues to be a fairly strong sector to be in, particularly as we're beginning to work remotely. The remote phenomenon is not going away. In fact, there's some very, very good data to suggest that those that like it love it. Employees are willing to take a pay cut to stay at home, 5 to 10%, and are willing to forego a 10 to 15% pay increase, not to go into the office. So they're willing to take a pay cut to stay, and they're willing to forego an increase in pay to go back into the office. So when that's what remote is not going away, I could do an entire talk on work from home and remote. But suffice it to say that IT and folks in the IT space are going to be are certainly going to be required. IT cybersecurity is going to be required, and so folks in that space certainly have they're certainly a sector in demand. Data is not going away. Artificial intelligence, BA stands for business analytics. More and more and more companies are turning to business analytics and data to drive decisions. As people work remotely, there's more and more data that can be mined through the various platforms. I don't know if anybody on here is in the data space. I'm recruiting for business analytics managers, data and insights managers. They're very, very hot demand right now across all sectors. Manufacturing is making a comeback again. I know it took a bit of a hit in Alberta, but it's making a comeback. The ag sector took a little bit of a hit here in Saskatchewan, but manufacturing in general has been reasonably good in the prairies and continues to grow. Because of that, project management and anybody with PMP designations, there's some good opportunities in the manufacturing sector and other sectors, including the mining sector, which I mentioned there. Project management is something that we're seeing high demand for. To some extent, engineering. Engineering was low for the last couple of years, but there are some opportunities in the engineering space. Here in Saskatchewan, BHP has officially decided to continue their Jansen mine project. So anybody in the mining sector or in the contracting sector, because there'll be a lot of spin-off, and this is a several billion-dollar commitment to build their mine. 3,500 immediate workforce requirements and long-term requirements of 600, which is all professional roles in the mining sector, right from accountants to engineers to project managers and everything, construction and everything, maintenance and everything in between. So certainly the mining sector continues to be strong. Oil and gas is making a comeback in Alberta again with an $80 barrel. We're seeing that coming back. And accounting and administration has made a resurgence. I'm not exactly sure why, but we can't keep accountants. They're going like crazy because many people went and worked from home. Some admin functions can be done from home, but some admin functions can't be done from home. And so many offices have requested of us some high-level admin type support for in-office work. So those types of professional roles have certainly have some traction there. And so if any of you are in that space, you'll have, I think, a very good chance of finding employment in one of those industries. So those are some sectors in high demand and some opportunities in high demand. Many of you are professionals. Many of you are from other countries, and really the question you have for me is, it's great that there's some opportunities out there, Hanif, but how do I improve my traction? How do I improve my relevance of my previous work, and how do I get a job ultimately, or at least get an interview? And I think there's two ways of looking at it. And I think the first one is improving your traction on your resume. So let's talk a little bit about what you can do on your resume. And I guess the second one is improving your traction more from a job opportunity standpoint. So let's deal with the resume first. I advise every single person, every resume I have, first of all, comes in black and white. If you can add some color to it, I would. But it always says what you've done. It always tells me what you've done. I was a project manager in this role. I worked for that company. A lot of these, what you've done. But you should add a content on who you are. And what I mean by that is, what is your philosophy? If you're in management, what is your management philosophy? What are some of the principles you subscribe to? How do you approach your work? To me, the resume is the worst way to filter people. But if there is something that an employer can connect to, then you have an opportunity to, if you can connect with an employer somehow, then that's going to help you create some traction. One way to connect with an employer is to tell them who you are, what your philosophy is, what principles do you subscribe to? And if those principles and that philosophy are similar to that hiring individual, they'll look at it because they want people like them in an organization. So don't simply put down, I'm looking for a job in this space, but tell them, I believe in these principles. I'm committed to excellence, and I set the bar very high on not only on my employees, but also on me. I believe in a philosophy of continuous improvement. I believe vision isn't just something that sits on the wall, but really is lived and learned and is your compass on a day-to-day basis. Those are the things that Hanif lives by. And those are the things that I have on my resume. I believe in continuous learning. I believe in setting an example. I believe in these types of things. I believe in management. I believe in setting a high bar, not only on my people, but on me as well. So I think if you can add a content on who you are, that will improve your traction. The second thing you can do is how can you help the organization? So great that you've done all these things, but what does that mean to my organization? So tell me what you can do to help my organization, which means that when you're applying to an organization, you have to research it and you have to find some kind of information that you can say that this is something that I found and I feel that I can bring this value to your organization. Now, yes, you'll probably talk about that in your cover letter, but I would also include it in the resume. The various roles that you've had, ask yourself, how can what I've achieved or what I've done in the previous role help this organization, and put it in the resume. My previous experience in A, B, C, and D can help bring this to your organization. Which brings me to my third point. What projects or achievements have you had in previous roles? So talk about those projects, talk about those achievements, speak to the fact that you've done some amazing things in your previous roles, and you can translate those amazing things to this organization. And when you're doing that, use numbers, use dollar size, use percent of budget, because some of the industries that you're in, I don't know. I'm an employer. I don't really know what you've done, or I don't really understand what the business model was in Saudi Arabia, or what the business model was in Nigeria, what the business model was in Iran, or wherever you have, or in India. I understand maybe the industry a little bit, but I don't understand the business model, or I can't, so give me a sense of numbers. People understand manpower size. I managed a team of 100 people. People understand dollar size. I managed a budget of $5 million. I did sales of $150 million. People understand percentages, reduced our operating budget by 20% and improved our top line by 40% and improved our sales by 60%. People understand numbers. And so what I would encourage you is to use numbers and use size and use percentage budgets and these types of things to help create context, because folks in Canada don't know your business in Iran and in India and in Nigeria and wherever you're from. And so this helps create context. The last thing is, I suggest, is use a white page of keywords. What does that mean? Many of you know that many organizations, many HRs, departments will use an algorithm, AI, to basically filter keywords on a resume. And those keywords are it might be project management, it might be engineer, it might be management, it might be, what have you, accountant, architect, it might be a lot of keywords beyond simply just what you did, but maybe it's, managing budgets could be a keyword that they use. Maybe it's operational management. Maybe it's, those types of things. Now, you can't always have all of those keywords on your resume. And so what I recommend to people is have a third page. So I recommend a 2-page resume, but have a third page. And on that third page, literally the whole page, put down keywords: international marketing experience, finance, international finance, anything that you feel would be relevant that you bring to the table. Multinational, people management, organizational management, any of these keywords, and write them all on this 1/3 page that you have. 1 page, all of these things. And now you obviously don't want to submit that page with all the keywords on it. And what I suggest you do is then highlight that page and change the color from black to white. And what that will do, in essence, it's very, very common that when you submit resumes, there's a blank page at the end of that resume. Well, this is your blank page, but the AI algorithm still reads the white lettering, but the human doesn't see the white lettering. So to the human eye, it's just a blank page, but to the AI algorithm, it sees all the keywords that you've written there. And so this way, not only do you have your resume, actual resume that's going through the AI algorithm, you've also got this white page at the end that has all the keywords. So as far as your resume goes, those are some of the tips that I would suggest to help improve your traction. There's probably just another 2 slides left. So how to improve your traction on sort of on a job basis. Right now, as I mentioned, there's a tremendous opportunity for you because employers are having a tough time finding people. And when I speak to employers, which I do, and I do a very similar talk to employers, I tell them that the opportunity that we have is newcomers to Canada. They have tremendous experience, they have tremendous work ethic, and they want to prove themselves. And so this is certainly an opportunity for employers to hire newcomers to Canada that have a professional background. But you might not be able to get into exactly the same role that you left. And this is the reality of the Canadian experience. And so you might have to drop a level and prove yourself and then gain that Canadian experience. I have placed many newcomers into roles where our clients were reluctant, but we advocated on their behalf, and were able to place them. And many of them, not only was that their first opportunity was with us, but it became a permanent role. The second thing I would suggest, and I know many of you are probably already doing this, is but volunteer your services. Get a chance to kind of showcase that you are, showcase your skill set. It may help you understand the Canadian market a little bit better. And it's certainly, it's good to have on a resume that you're able to volunteer and stay busy. Nothing bothers, I think, employers more where, they see people that are looking for work, but, aren't sort of spending their time doing something. So this is a great way when an employer says, what have you been doing? While I'm looking for work, I've been volunteering my time with so-and-so and with so-and-so and trying to help people out. I think that speaks volumes to the type of person you are, what you stand for, and your work ethic. And I alluded to this earlier, but certainly an agency like mine, there's many others in town. Certainly an agency like Express Employment Professionals can be an advocate for you. And I did mention that, we already do this already with a number of individuals, and we're happy to do so, with you folks. Again, just as a recap, there are other agencies. We are locally owned here in Saskatoon. We have offices right across Canada. Having said that, and we do sort of work in sort of three big buckets of types of roles: administrative, light industrial, and commercial, and professional. So I'm going to end there, and I hope that you got some perspective on sort of the job market right now. I really feel optimistic that now is a great time for newcomers because of the situation that many employers find themselves in, and perhaps where once they were a little bit hesitant a couple of years ago to bring a newcomer into their space. I think that hesitancy is starting to go down because they just are in a position where there is a war on talent, and they cannot fill roles that they're looking at. As a result, we're getting a tremendous volume of folks calling us, and I think this really speaks well for you folks. So thank you for listening, and I will I guess I will turn it over back to Gavin to continue on.
Thanks, Hanif. A lot taken that presentation. I'm sure our audience found your information very helpful. I know I did. We will get to some Q&A questions. So anyone in the audience, if you have questions for the Q&A, type them in now. We will get to your questions after our brief other presentations. So first, I'd like to invite Needy to come back onto the screen. Thanks, Needy.
Hi, Kevin.
Thanks, Needy. So, great presentation by Hanif. Now, Needy, you want to talk about Truly Alive Foundation a bit, and then afterwards, Cheryl will talk about career loans, and then we will get to your questions. So do type them up into the Q&A box. You have a video, right, Needy? Let me.
Yes, Kevin. I would like to start from the video, and then I'll take over. Yeah.
Sounds good. Let me play that now.
Arrived to Saskatoon, my English was really poor. And with my classes, my English was improvement all day. Teachers are awesome. I have 2 teachers. I have 2 class per week. And talking all time with the teacher and with my partners in classroom was really, really good for me.
Hi, TAFE is a great place to collaborate with like-minded people and people from various culture, and the men's program really helped me bridge gaps and get myself ready for the Canadian environment. Thank you, TAFE.
Okay, I joined the ICANN program. When we started this program, I'm somebody that is not open-minded. I sometimes don't know how to speak so much in public. Yeah, and when we started this program, I saw so many other people who couldn't speak so much in the beginning, but as we went through the different modules of the program, and I saw them grow from strength to strength, people were able to communicate, hear their views, interact. It was an interactive section, and it made it easy for everyone to tag along and grow in certain ways. And it was really helpful to me. At one of our sections during that program, I kind of went into labor. Well, it was early because she was supposed to come in January, but she came in November. So, and one of the things that made me want to continue despite the situation or the predicament at that time was because I knew every section had so many information to offer, and so it was well loaded with lots of inspiring stories, information, leadership tips and all that, and how to, save and be better. So, and I didn't want to miss out on that. It was just so much that I had to learn, and I didn't want to miss any part of it.
So what's been your favorite day so far?
This day because it's volleyball and it's my mother's favorite sport.
Okay, how about you, Vanda? What's your favorite day so far?
Every day, because when I come here, it always brings me a smile here.
So thank you to everyone who has joined us today. So hope you all like the video, and it kind of gives you an overview of what we do. Although it is kind of difficult to share all that we do in a few minutes. But before I share with you all how TAFE would love to journey with you, I would like to share something very, very special with you, an instance, something related with the video. So I would like to take your attention back to the video wherein we see the little baby. I would say we take pride in saying that she's our own, very own little truly alive baby. That's how we very fondly like to call her. Why truly alive baby? This was last year when we started this women leadership program titled I Can, that is Inclusive Capacity Advancement for Newcomer program, which was started under, this was the umbrella program, and then underneath this we had the Class A program, that is the Community Leadership and Social Engagement program. This is a program wherein we draw resource people and presenters from all walk of life who are seasoned professionals, community leaders and industry experts who kind of help you design your vision, and participants get a better understanding and sense of what works and what does not. So the mother that you saw in the video was a participant in this program. It was the second session of the 4-month-long program that the mother was attending. And that is when she went into labor. She was rushed to the hospital. Yeah, thankfully, we were doing programs in a hybrid fashion as we're doing today. And the baby was delivered in a few hours. What we were most amazed that I want to share with you all is to see that solid commitment that this wonderful woman showed. She did not miss even one session of the program. She was back with a bang 2 weeks after attending all sessions back to back. Well, what I mean to say is the value that people attach with programs like this. You would agree with me, there's no empirical evidence to say, okay, you attended a leadership program, so you scaled up like 10% in the leadership qualities, or you attended this diversity program, you have a 5% better cultural sense. No, we cannot have that empirical evidence. There's no formula. But yes, the programs that we offer kind of give you a better orientation in a lot of aspects that I'll talk about. However, I would like to share that Truly Alive Youth and Family Foundation Inc. offers an area of services and areas of youth empowerment, mentorship, visible minority women empowerment program, the one I just mentioned, pre-employment support services such as resume, creating your presence on social media and platforms like LinkedIn, and help you navigate in your journey. Then some of the programs that we do are Newcomer Indigenous Engagement, New Canadian Support Services. We have hosted a few programs. I will not talk about a lot of other programs that we've been hosting. I think 2 hours would be not enough if I refer back to those programs, but recently concluded programs have been parenting education program. Then we had 55 Plus Connect recently that we concluded for the seniors of Saskatoon. We are running another beautiful program called YAP, that is Youth and Adult Partnership Program. There's another program that we recently hosted was Heritage Language Program to helping people with digital literacy and some other tools. So these are some of the programs that I'm talking about. And last but not the least, we're passionate about fostering multiculturalism and accelerating anti-racism initiatives and the process of reconciliation. I would also like to share that what we offer is not only services and programs, as I mentioned above, but we also love to support our clients with self-help tools, provide them with networking opportunities, workshops like these where we have experts such as Mr. Hemani. What a beautiful presentation it was. I'm still, thinking, well, what are the things that I need to do? So this is the kind of participation and engagement certainly gives you a better orientation of various social aspects, cultural norms, workplace ethics that help you identify those gaps and blind spots that are important before taking that big leap forward. I would request our audience to visit our website, that is trulyalivefoundation.org, or email us if you would like to add info@trulyalivefoundation.org. I would say enroll yourself into one of these programs and it will be a great step moving forward, and it will certainly help you and place you in a better position in your personal and professional relationship. So thank you so much. My colleague Adrian would like to share about some of the upcoming programs very soon at some point of time. Thank you so much, Gavin.
Thank you, Needy. Yeah, if you have any questions for Needy, do type them into the Q&A. I'm just looking at the time now. I know we said this would be an hour presentation, but there's so much good information, so much good information. So we understand that you feel free to stick with us and stay along. If you do have to leave at 1 o'clock, we understand. I will be sending this recording to you, but let's continue on. Cheryl, could you please turn on your camera?
Hi, Gavin.
Hi, Cheryl. So Cheryl will be talking about the Career Loans Program and how we can help newcomers in Saskatchewan and Alberta return to their career goals. After that, we will have the Q&A. So stick around if you have a chance. Type in your questions now, and we will get to your questions afterwards. But Cheryl, please, without further ado, let's take it away.
Let's get going. Well, thanks, Gavin. Let me share my screen with you.
All right.
There we go.
Awesome.
Well, thank you everyone for joining us. I have the pleasure of taking the back end of this webinar today. So let me introduce you to our Career Loans virtual program. So a little bit about career loans. We are a fully virtual service for internationally trained individuals, ITIs, that are living currently in Alberta and Saskatchewan. We provide free career support services and assistance with a microloan application. And we also guide ITIs so they can return to their careers here in Canada. I have a short video, and I'm going to just let you guys watch that for a second.
I'm Rianne Mendoza, and I came to Canada from the Philippines last year in November.
Hello, my name is Ifoma. I came to Canada June 2019.
My desired occupation in Canada is a privacy lawyer.
And my desire is to work as a medical doctor in Canada. The major challenge that I was facing was financial.
I don't have the sufficient resources in order for me to enroll.
I used part of the money that I got from career loans to register for the first part of the exam.
I was able to enroll in the training programs to becoming a privacy professional.
To buy a mini laptop that I would use to prepare for the exams.
To purchase all the required texts.
Ever since I applied to career loans, I can say that my career outlook is definitely brighter.
I will also be getting my certification for Asia.
Because I've gotten the assistance that I needed. I've been able to register for the exams.
I am now more prepared to become a privacy professional in Canada.
Things are looking brighter. Yeah, I just feel like, I'm getting closer to my goal.
And thanks to career loans, I am now more confident and in my way towards my journey of becoming a privacy professional here in Canada.
Awesome. So to continue on, our program features. The program is free career and financial counseling. We have the low interest microloan for up to $15,000, and the minimum would be $1,500. We provide referrals to employment services in your province. We also guide you in your accreditation process, and we provide advice for alternative careers if that is your choice. So who is eligible for the career loans programs? ITIs in regulated and non-regulated occupation and trade. You must be a resident of Alberta or Saskatchewan, and your immigration status should be either permanent residence, Canadian citizen, or a convention refugee with a Canadian language benchmark minimum of level 5. And level 5 just meaning that you are able to attend an education program and understand and communicate properly. So as a member of the Career Loans Program, we offer many services, and so we support support services for through our counselors, such as myself, who takes care of the Saskatchewan province. We also personalize one-on-one career counseling sessions with our members. We will discuss your career paths and options in that career roadmap. We create a personalized action plan that we share with you, and we create that with your input. So it's all about you. We create all of we have virtual consultations because our program is virtual through phone or any online platforms. Our members also have our benefits to live webinars that are catered towards newcomers, such as this one. We have expert speakers on relevant topics that we find are relevant, that our clients are looking for, just like Hanif just presented us today. Access to previous webinars and videos on demand on our site. And we also catered an event calendar for your province. Now, this is just in a nutshell an infographic of the whole process of what Career Loans program and how it works. And you see it comes in two parts, where we have the career counseling process, where you have your ideal job. And I'm going to quickly just go through this. You register for Career Loans. The program is approved by one of the relevant counselor, and then you connect with that counselor, and that's where you get an opportunity to go through your individual career plan. And if you are interested, and this is only optional for that program, then we will look into the loan application process. And as you can see, this is pretty much self-explanatory. You have an idea, you express your interest in the loan application. We as a counselor put it together for you or help you complete that application. It is then moved on to the bank. They make a loan decision, and then the disbursements happen. So how do we help you? As again, we have our one-on-one virtual career counseling session, and this will help you determine your career path and your next step. We do our referrals. Clients will be referred to local services providers in their province, and personalized referrals are based on their unique situation. And if interested, the microloan is available, and your respective counselor will help you with that loan application. So our microloan app, we are partnered with the bank HSBC. They are the one that the funds are distributed through. So the microloans are up to $15,000, like I said, minimum $1,500, with a low interest rate. And currently we go with the HSBC Prime +2. So in totality, that current interest rate is at 4.45%, and you have a period of 4 years of the loan repayment, and that's in respect to how much is being borrowed. And you also have access to continued support from the Career Loans counselors throughout the repayment period. So what is eligible? Eligible expenses that you can incorporate in your loan application. Each loan application is unique to the individual, but some of the things that can be added to that loan application are credential assessments, your accreditations, training in colleges if that's what you're going through, the material fees for books and equipment for your training. We also look at the career-related fees, such as your exam fees, your licensures, and so on and so forth. And like I said, before, every eligible expenses are unique to that individual. So I would encourage you, if you are interested in applying for a loan, is to discuss that need with your respective counselor. So like I said, the program is completely free and virtual. All our services are offered through free of charge to our members. All our services are performed virtually via phone or any online platforms. And so I would encourage you to sign up today for, even if you have to access our free career support service, there is no obligation to take out a microloan. And that's it for me. This is all my direct contact, my direct cell phone number. And I would encourage you to follow us on all our social media, Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, and Twitter. And thank you so much for your patience. I will now pass it over to Gavin.
Thanks, everyone. Thanks, Cheryl. I know we're 6 minutes over the hour, but thank you, everyone, if you're still here with us. We do have a few, we do want to answer a few questions in the Q&A. I'm going to ask Hanif and Nidhi just to turn on their cameras and rejoin us for the Q&A session. And all right, so just briefly, we'll run through some questions. If you have any questions, do type in the Q&A. We'll try to get through as many as we can. One question I saw was in regards to Hanif. You had a slide about the in-demand sectors. Could you maybe clarify? Are those occupations? I know you talk about IT, business analytics, and data, and the whole list. Could you maybe clarify if that was for Saskatchewan? Is that Alberta based? Is that Canada wide?
Yeah. So those are Alberta, Saskatchewan. Some are Canada. So IT, analytics definitely is Canadian wide.
Okay.
The other ones are more specific to the prairies.
Awesome.
Yeah.
If you do have any questions, type them in the Q&A. I do have a question or two. To ask Hanif while we still have you here, if you don't mind. A question I'm personally interested in is what do you think, Alisa? Do you have an educated guess on the future of working from home? I know you talked about this. Yeah. Do you think is it safe to say many employers will want people to keep working from home? They want them to go back in the office. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, so there was some really good data out, and I do a talk with employers on this exact topic. First of all, there was some interesting data out done by Prudential. They surveyed I can't remember how many thousands of people working from home. 45% said they would quit if they couldn't continue to work from home. So these are individuals working from home. I also gave you some information on the fact that many individuals that like working from home are willing to take a pay cut to stay at home and are willing to forego a pay increase not to go into the office. So those that like it, and it sounds like there's a good number, are very compelled to do it. Number one. I think number two, the genie's out of the bottle, so to speak. And now that people have sort of adjusted to it, and the technology is adjusted to it, it's going to be a reality. The third thing, there's a company out of Wilmington, Virginia. They do a lot of data analytics and these sorts of things. They surveyed 200 Fortune 500 CEOs and CFOs around the status of working virtually. And 75% said in some way, shape, or form they will continue with virtual as they go forward. And if you look at some of the HR conversations out there, the reality is a hybrid model, they're calling it. So whether it's not going to be completely virtual, there might be some of that. That's going to be a small percentage, but it's going to be something in between. So the one that seems to be most popular right now is 3 days in the office, 2 days home. And you can kind of pick the 3 you want. Some are saying 3 consecutive. So on a Wednesday, for sure, everyone's going to be in the office on a Wednesday. And if you need that face-to-face time, that you have that opportunity on Wednesday, because if you do 3 consecutive days, Wednesday's the day, right? So Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. You pick the choice, but Wednesday, everyone is there. That seems to be one of the most popular. So yes, is hybrid here to stay? 100% is here to stay. And in fact, I work with another client who has 300 employees. Every single one is virtual. Yeah, every single one is virtual right now.
Fantastic. One more question, I think, for the Q&A. And Nidhi, Cheryl, you're free to chime in as well. Hanif, you talked about the resume, but can you maybe talk about the cover letter part of things? Is that important? What kind of tips or
Yeah.
advice do you have for that?
So the cover letter certainly is important. To be completely frank, I don't think a lot of employers spend a lot of time on the cover letter because there's a lot of words there. And it sounds trivial, but it's true. There's a lot of words there, and employers are make very snap decisions. And so my advice to everybody that is writing a resume is figure out a way to get an employer's attention for just 10 or 20 seconds. And then figure out another way to get their attention for another 10 or 20 seconds. And figure out another way to get their attention for 10 or 20 seconds. And if you can keep doing that, this is why I say something about yourself, because people relate to other people. They don't relate to just, words. They don't want to read words. They want to kind of get a sense. So if you can kind of catch their interest in a couple of things, a couple of achievements, something unique, use a different color. I have red on my resume, red and green. If you're going to hand it in person, I don't use black and white. I use a yellow manila paper with a texture to it. Make it different. Give it something that it stands out, because when you're looking at a stack of, look at you can see my desk over here. There's a stack of resumes there. Those are all black and white. It gets boring. So try to find ways to kind of make it unique. But yes, the cover letter is still important, and write it as if it's being read top to bottom, and it should be customized to the position. It should be customized to the position, and everything that's in your resume needs to be highlighted in that cover letter and spoken to what you bring to the table. What are your achievements? Why this role excites you? A lot of times employers don't understand. One of the questions I ask when I'm recruiting professionally is, what excites you about this role? And if you choose not to put anything in there, guess what? You don't get an interview from me. Because if you're not going to take the time to even be excited about the role, then what's the point? There are people that are excited about the role, and chances are they'll be more productive in that space. So those are some ideas in terms of what that cover letter should have. But if you're excited about it and you want to bring some passion to it, and you have something to offer, put it in the cover letter for sure.
Needy or Cheryl, anything else you wanna add? So
the resume is it's a viable part of the employability or the job searching skills. Hanif, I'm wondering, does the type of resume does the format, is there any format that is more successful than others?
Yeah. It's a good question. I get asked this a lot, and I don't find that one is better than the other. I think it depends on what you're applying to. Some folks like sort of the chronological approach to it, and these are the jobs I've had. Others are more of a competency-based approach. And based on the jobs I've had, these are the competencies I've developed, and this is what I've done. I don't think there's necessarily a better or worse. I think it really depends on the type of role that you're applying to. And to some extent, if I have experience working at Apple, I'm going to put it in there. Right? It's going to be in my resume, because that type of experience commands a certain something. On the flip side, if I worked in a company that maybe wasn't maybe well known, but I managed $100 million project, I'm going to speak to that project more so, and the competencies I learned in that project, and what I had to do, and the challenges I had to overcome, and how I can bring these challenges or bring this analytical thinking to this company. So I think it depends a little bit on the role, and based on kind of how I would approach the resume. And the resume should be customized to the position anyway. The content can all be the same, just needs to be kind of positioned a little bit to kind of customize. Or I might emphasize, I might not list everything in my resume, but the specific employment that relates to that role. And so there might be some gaps in there.
Thank you, Hanif. I see a question. I think this person wants to ask a specific question about recommendations for training. I think that's better suited if that person emails Hanif. So I will share, Hanif, your email afterwards, so that this specific person asking this question can get in touch with you.
Sure.
I do want to quickly wrap up because we are a bit over time. thank you everyone for staying on board. If you have, it's been so much information, so much information. I do want to wrap this up though. So if I can ask everyone just to turn off their cameras for the time being, and I will invite Adrian to come on screen as well. Hi, Adrian.
Hi, everyone.
Thank you for coming today. And I know you do want to talk about some upcoming programs from Truly Alive. So please let us know what you have brewing.
Yes, for sure. Well, first I'd like to just thank Mr. Hanif for that wonderful, very informative presentation. And I want to follow up very, very briefly on the glowing presentation delivered by my colleague, Nidhi, about Truly Alive. And as she mentioned, so we cater to newcomers, immigrants, underserved populations in the Saskatoon area. Two programs that we have very upcoming very soon that I'd like to mention as our tutoring program, Academic Upskilling for Senior Grades, that starts tomorrow, running till March 15th. So if you are yourself are a student in grades 11 or 12, or you have, someone in your family in grade 11 or 12 who needs math, English, or computer science tutoring, please join. This is free and is a great resource to boost your grades before you apply to university. The second program I'll mention is our Bridging Information Gaps Men's Program, which starts November 2021. And this one caters towards, as it says, to men, and it's basically about, for newcomer men in particular, it's about kind of understanding the Canadian cultural context, kind of redefining gender roles, gender structures, to suit kind of the culture in Canada, and just really a holistic kind of upskilling program for men in getting in touch with kind of the aspects of oneself that don't get developed as much. So it's a 2.5 hour session on Saturdays, and it's through Zoom. So I'd invite everyone who would be interested in attending for either program to refer to my email below, youth coordinator, or give a call at the number under the email. So that's about my spiel. Thank you for that time, Gavin.
Thanks, Adrian. As for other career loans programs, just quickly wrap up and tell you what's happening next. We do have a Facebook Live tomorrow. One of our counselors, Venus, will be celebrating, observing International Day of Rural Women. We'll be talking about how we are helping international newcomers in Alberta and Saskatchewan in rural areas. Our next webinar is also called Top Occupations in Tech. It's Wednesday, November 10th at 12 p.m. Alberta time, 1 p.m. Saskatchewan time. You can sign up in the website below, careerloans.ca/November 10th. We do have a survey. I will send that out to the email, so don't worry about writing down that URL. And here is our contact information if you want to get in touch with Career Loans, the Truly Alive Youth and Family Foundation, or even Hanif. I will have all this information in a follow-up email as well. So let's see. I'd like to invite everyone else to turn on their cameras. Okay. Thank you. I'm seeing in the chat that another person also has a similar question for Hanif. In regards to being a BA and data specialist, what kind of courses and training? We are a bit over time, so I highly recommend you to email Hanif. Is that all right? For them to email you to ask about what kind of recommendations, Hanif, you have for the data specialist, the business analytics training. But that's going to do it for today. I want to thank everyone who stuck around, everyone who came to watch the show, and for all our guests today for providing such wonderful content. It's been such a fantastic show. Thank you very much.
Thanks, everybody. Have a great weekend.
Bye,
Take care,
everybody.
everyone. Bye.